Hello and welcome to this very special edition here on WION. I'm joined by a cricketer who needs no introduction. He's a member of the WAUGH'S Academy and he's also a two-time World Cup winner, including once as Captain Steve Waugh. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank
you. You tick all the boxes when it comes to being an Academy member because you're a legend of your sport and you're involved in many charities as well.
Yeah, look, that's a big part of being a WAUGH'S Academy member. Obviously, you've got to be good at your sport, but probably more importantly, we have the Sport for Good Foundation, which supports about 140 projects worldwide. So you've got to be able to give back to the community and to give time to the projects, and that's a big part about being a member.
And the best part is, it's the who's who of world sport. It's like, it's like you're going into the Oscars and you see all these film stars around, you come in here and you see everyone's a superstar.
Yeah, look, the first time I went to an Academy meeting, I felt like I should have taken my autograph book and went round and get autographs because a lot of those were heroes of mine, like Nadia Comaneci and Mark Spitz and Edwin Moses and all these amazing sports people that you've grown up watching on TV. All of a sudden you're in the same room, so it's very much like that.
Yeah, I grew up watching you on TV. But have you, over the years now, managed to tell them what cricket is all about? Barring Commonwealth countries where cricket is played religiously, not too many of the Olympic greats know too much about cricket.
Yeah, it's interesting. Cricket has become more of a global sport, definitely in the last 10 years. When I first became an Academy member, a lot of the members didn't know much about it. But having said that, people like Boris Becker, a tennis player, he came to Australia every year to play the Australian Open. At the same time, the Boxing Day Test was on. So they get educated about other sports. And now cricket truly is a global sport, and so all the members know something about cricket. 10, 15 years ago, or when we won our first World Sports Awards, the Australian cricket team in 2001, I think it was a bit of a shock because not many people knew much about cricket.
Yes, because you all won, and then after you, the only other cricket team to have won is Afghanistan, who won the Spirit of Sport award, and now they're going to play Test cricket. I mean, that's a great story.
Afghanistan have been an amazing story over the last couple of years, and they've done incredibly well, and they're winning a lot of one-day internationals. Just recently, they did well at the Under-19 Championships, so they've got a tremendous future, and they're playing. They've got some really exciting players who are playing in Australia in the Big Bash and doing well.
Yeah, because Rashid is one player who's now topped the ODI rankings as well. In the IPL, he's playing very well as well. Yeah,
they got some world-class players, which is great. I mean, we need new teams in world cricket that are exciting and can challenge the other sides, and Afghanistan have done exceptionally well.
It's interesting you say that because it leads me on to my next question. A lot of your fellow Academy members are Olympic legends, household names when it comes to the Olympics or global sports like football or even tennis. In that sense, do you think cricket hasn't done enough to get out of that boundary of 10 or 15 countries and become this truly global sport?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the next step. When I was on the MCC World Cricket Committee, we were pushing for cricket to be at the at the Olympic Games. I think 2020 is a perfect format for the Olympic Games. I mean, and most countries will be able to play that, and then you get people like countries like China and America wanting to win a gold medal, and all of a sudden cricket becomes a big sport in those countries. So I think that's got to be the next step, that we need to see 2020 at the Olympics. So I think that's the right format for that Olympic Games.
Because you come from a culture where the Olympics are supreme, There's a lot of celebration of athletes, of sports persons. I was there for the Commonwealth Games in 2006, and I had family members who attended the Sydney Olympics, and you could just see that passion. I was told that when Ian Thorpe entered the dining hall after winning the gold, the entire Australian contingent just stood up and clapped. And that's where you need to get cricket as well.
Yeah, for sure. Look, the Olympics, you're right, is a huge part of Australian life, and we celebrate our winners. And when we don't do well at the Olympics, it's like our nation has failed. So our last Olympic Games wasn't that great, and there was a big talk fest on how can we get better and why haven't we done so well. So to get cricket at that level will certainly take the game totally global, and I believe it's ready for that right now.
But do you think that, and since you mentioned that you were on the MCC committee, because the MCC committee has also this time spoken about cricket at the Olympics, do you think that the BCCI's myopic stand is what is hurting cricket? Because they've flatly objected. They're saying our revenues are not going to get exceeded, or we're not going to get more money if we play. It's not about that. Everyone needs to get together. BCCI doesn't send a team to the Asian Games.
Yeah, look at how much money do you need at the end of the day? I mean, you've got to be, the BCCI has a huge responsibility. I mean, they really are almost the owners of the game right now, and if they're not taking it in the right direction, then cricket will suffer. And they've got to think beyond how much money they can make, because I think they're making quite enough money right now, and what is best for the game. And I think they've got to consider that. And whilst commercially they deserve to make a lot of money because they're doing the right things, and But yeah, I think the Olympics is got to be something they consider, because as we've talked about, to get all these other countries playing and to make it a global sport, it needs to be on that world stage.
You know, I remember meeting you in 2008 at the Olympics. That's a different aura. I mean, you all play the World Cup, you know, and you go across a certain country, or in the case of India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, when you all had these joint World Cups, it's a lot of touring. But the Olympics is one place where it's the melting pot of you know, humanity in that sense, and the greatest talent.
Yeah, well, there's over a couple of hundred countries go there, and you're right. I was a mentor in the 2008 games in Beijing and 2012 in London, and it was 3 of the best weeks of my life both times. I just loved the experience. I went to as many sports as I could. And that Olympic Village is, you know, they say Disneyland is the happiest place on earth. I think the Olympic Village is the happiest place on earth. People, you know, are mixing freely, and all the problems of the outside world are forgotten, and people are interacting and talking, and you know, you go and watch the best athletes in the world. So for me, the Olympic Games was an amazing experience, and something I feel really privileged to be a part of.
See, you're a legend of sport, but when you were at the Olympic Village, did you have a fanboy moment when, you know, you looked up and maybe you saw Usain Bolt or Roger Federer? Did you have something like that?
Of course, yeah. Look, I was running around to all the events and trying to see as much as I could. I saw every one of Usain Bolt's events. I saw Michael Phelps, and you know, it was incredible. Yeah, sure. Yeah, and these guys, you know, watching the tennis players like Federer and Nadal, these amazing athletes, and you know, it was a great experience, and it was quite humbling in a lot of ways to sort of see these people. And when they came into the dining hall, you know, they get standing ovations by all the other athletes there. So it was you know, once in a lifetime experience, and it went the other way as well. People like Johan Blake, the sprinter from Jamaica, was a big fan of cricket, and he wanted to come and meet me, which I thought was pretty strange. So yeah, it sort of worked both ways. And of course, you have the Indian athletes, when they saw me in the Olympic Village, was like, "What are you doing there?" They were pretty excited. So I had a great time.
And you've actually had an experience of a multidiscipline games, because in 1998, the Commonwealth Games, the Australian team played there, cricket came back. And then what was that experience? Because at that point of time, you all weren't used to the situation like a games village, where you've got to carry your own stuff and all that stuff. And, you know, wearing a medal around your neck, that was a surreal feeling.
Yeah, look, we always carried our own bags, so that was something we did. But oh, look, I love being there, and we made it a priority to go to the games. I know that I don't think India sent a full-strength side. They sent some of the players, and some were playing in another competition.
They went to play in Sahara Cup,
I think. But Sachin was there, and Kumble, yeah. So we beat India in the semi-final, and we lost to South Africa in the final. And as a captain, that was one of my biggest regrets, not winning the gold medal, because it was something we strive for. We really wanted it, and at the time we thought, now this may be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and so far that has proved to be the case, because it hasn't got back into the Commonwealth Games. But to be in that village and to not be the star attraction, but you're part of a 400-team squad, and you're like everyone else in that team, and it does ground everyone, and you realise that the athletes are putting in just as much time and effort as you, and they're not getting the financial reward, so it's very humbling.
But it's interesting to hear you say that, because you won almost everything. You were part of one of the greatest runs in world cricket, and for you to say that there was a regret for you not winning that gold says a lot about the mentality.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I think some of the players we had in that side probably didn't respect winning that medal as much as we should have, and I know that I was fully committed, but I think there was some players there that maybe took the foot off the pedal a bit, and we lost the final. And I think after the final I said, you know, that's something we can never pull back, and it made us stronger as a team, because that was a regret not winning that. And from that moment on, every game we played was a priority, because we let an opportunity slip.
And that was a dominant run which cricket had not seen for a while. I mean, you go back in history, perhaps the West Indies team of the 70s and 80s, and after that came your team, which just swept everyone aside.
Yeah, and maybe it was a catalyst. I haven't really thought about it too much, but losing that Commonwealth Games gold medal, which we should have won, that was possibly the catalyst for us saying, okay, there's no more complacency. You know, every game is the most important we're going to play, and let's try and improve. So we did. We went on a pretty amazing run and dominated for quite a while, which is hard to do. Probably harder now that you've got 3 forms of the game. Back then there was only 2 forms of the game, so it wasn't quite as hard. I don't think you'll see any team going forward really dominate all forms of the game, because they're almost separate games now.
But you know, you were also helped by the fact that you had this collection of individuals in your team who almost all of them at every position were the best in the world. You name it, at every position, from, you know, Shane Warne, McGrath, Hayden, you, I mean everyone, Adam Gilchrist, everyone could win a match on their own, and for all of that to come together was fantastic.
It certainly helps as a captain. Yeah, you want the good players there, and that's one element to being a great side. Obviously, you've got to keep everyone happy and focused and going in the same direction. That I think that's probably a challenge. that you have as a captain when you've got all these great players is keeping everyone satisfied and happy and content. So that was probably the challenge on the other side. Obviously we had the talent and we could play a certain way because I knew that, you know, I'd said to the players, we'll play positively, aggressively, let's continually put pressure on the opposition. I mean, you can't say that to a team if you haven't got the talent, so obviously it's a big plus.
And you had some memorable battles with India, especially 2001 and then that your last series as well. And they too had this remarkable assembly line of talent at that point of time, except perhaps the pace department. They were really, really good and that's why you had some great battles. But perhaps India couldn't bring it together like the way you did with your team.
Oh, look, India are a quality side. I mean, you're right. You look back at those teams and those eras, and they were two great sides. And you might not see that very often in the future. Or, yeah, the quality of players was quite incredible, really. And I look back with fondness on those series. And 2001, even though we lost the series, it's still one of my favourite series I played in. We played in a really aggressive manner. We tried to win every Test match. We fell down in Calcutta trying to win our 18th Test match in a row. And obviously, Laxman and Dravid. An amazing partnership, and then the last test in Chennai, we had India 8 down chasing 135 and nearly pulled off a remarkable win. So it was one of the great series I played in.
And you know, when you look today at the way cricket is happening around the world, as you said, you won home, you won away. I mean, there was nothing stopping that all-conquering side of yours. But it's very different today. Teams are winning at home, but when they go abroad, it's not happening. Are you surprised?
I'm amazed, really, because you know, back when I first started, you know, there weren't even neutral umpires, so it was actually a lot harder to win away. I mean, that's a reality. Now there are neutral umpires. The pitches are pretty much benign. They're very similar all around the world. The players are well travelled. They've played on all different types of surfaces. I can't quite understand why teams aren't winning away from home. There's no reason why they can't win away from home. It must be just a mental barrier. So, you know, it should really have changed a lot more than it has.
Okay, so if you want to win abroad, get Steve Waugh in to mentor you. Talking about India, they lost the Test series to South Africa recently, but they won the ODI and T20 series. You know, MS Dhoni, when he gave up the captaincy in one day, he said that under Virat Kohli, this Indian team has the capacity and the potential to dominate world cricket like your team did and the West Indies did. You think he's not far away from the mark the way they play?
Yeah, look, they've got a very good side. Look, having said that, I think if Australia has their full pace bowling attack, they can beat anyone. I mean, it's, you know, Cummings, Stark, Hazlewood, they're an incredible trio. With Nathan Lyon, I think the Australian attack right now is as good as any attack in the history of cricket, or potentially could be. So, you know,
better than yours?
I wouldn't say better, but I think they've had potential to be at least as good. And you know, and who knows, they may be better down the track. You know, you got someone like Hazlewood, who's almost a McGrath clone. You got the left-hander in Stark, who's an amazing bowler, and then Pat Cummins is potentially going to be a great player as well. And you've got Nathan Lyon, who's as good as anyone in the spin department. So I can't wait for India and Australia to come together next year in Australia. I think that'll be an incredible series, and that'll probably you'll see who is the side that, you know, I think will be the #1 side in the world will come out of that series.
And if India are going there, then Virat Kohli has to do well for India. Are you staggered by what he's achieved? Because when Sachin retired, you had 49 ODI centuries. This man just seems to be scoring centuries for fun. I mean, he's 35 now. Who knows? In 2 years' time, he could be overtaking that. There's special talent.
Look, he's incredible. I mean, I said 5 years ago to my son, if you're going to emulate any batsman, follow Virat Kohli, and that was before he started. He's just got a magnificent technique. You know, lets the ball under his eyes, insatiable appetite for scoring runs, loves the big occasion, and a lot of his one-day centuries are happening chasing total. So he's found out a method that he knows works chasing a total, and you know, I think he will beat Sachin's records, and I don't think anyone would have ever thought that was possible 5 years ago. So that shows how good he is. You know, I don't know how many centuries he's going to get if he stays fit, which he's got to focus on fitness, which he's a modern-day athlete. So, you know, and his hunger's there, and look, you see the passion, the way he plays the game. Anything's possible. But
when I look at Virat Kohli's passion, he reminds me of a very Australian mindset, aggressive, in your face, wants to dominate. He's a very Australian kind of, you know, mentality.
Yeah, look, I think it's the modern India, really. It's not so much Australia, that's the modern India. I think young people in India, they back themselves. You know, they don't back away from a challenge. And they're in the contest, and that's the way he plays his cricket. So I think, you know, you see all the young Indian players playing the same vein now, which is very different to 20, 30 years ago. That's just, maybe that's just society, the way it's changed in India, but he's he's the role model and the pin-up boy for all young people in India, and yeah, I can understand them jumping in behind him and playing in the same manner because he's so passionate.
Yes, and talking of Steve, Virat Kohli, I have to talk of Steven Smith as well because he's very antithesis in that sense to Virat Kohli, especially as captain, much calmer, much more composed, but getting the job done.
Yeah, in some ways are similar too, because Steve wears his heart on his sleeve too when things get tight, and he can get a bit wound up as well, which is only natural when you're captain. He maybe controls it a bit more, but I think in the heat of the battle, both those can clash in a big way. So it's going to be exciting to watch him go head to head. And I mean, you got to remember last time Steve went to India, he really dominated Virat Kohli. I mean, he got 450 runs and Virat got less than 100. So I'm sure that Virat's got that in the back of his mind the next time they come together. He won't let that happen again. But Smith is an amazing cricketer that if you write him off or doubt him in some way, next day he comes back stronger. He's a quick learner. He's got a great eye. He hits the ball in the gap better than I've seen anyone in the history of playing the game. He rarely hits a fieldsman, and he finds a way and he just backs himself.
You know, are you surprised by the rise and the quality of his batsmanship of late? I remember seeing him at the 2011 World Cup, which happened in India. He used to bat 5 or 6, more of an all-rounder, and now it's the best batsman in Test cricket, sheer staggering numbers. I mean, you know, it's him and Kohli, yeah.
Amazing transformation. I mean, he just, again, insatiable appetite, just wants to keep scoring runs and churning them out. He's not happy with 100, he wants 200, 300, and that's every innings. He sets high expectations, he trains hard. You know, he's almost obsessed with scoring runs, a bit like Virat Kohli. They're very similar in that regard, and you know, people keep saying, oh, he's going to get exposed by swing bowling or balls that move around, but somehow he manages to hit the ball in the middle, and he almost taunts the bowler. He's like a matador with a bull. He'll sort of wave the flag out there, you know, come and bowl out here, and he almost, you know, tricks people into bowling to where he wants the ball to be bowled. Yeah,
because I remember that series against India, and they were dust bowls, and he was dominating those Indian spinners, especially Ashwin and Jadeja on those tracks. But you know, when you look at Virat Kohli and Steve Smith, I need to also throw in Kane Williamson, Joe Root as well, because there was a time when Ponting went, Clark went, Tendulkar went, Kallis, Sangakkara all went. You thought, okay, probably you're going to see a bit of a lull in terms of big scores. But this new generation is right up there.
I think they're all egging each other, and you've got AB de Villiers. Of course, you can't forget him as well. Yeah, there's some amazing players. I'm not sure the bowling's as strong right now as it has been, so maybe that's the reason. And in Australia, the pitches are much more benign. I mean, last year against England, there was some really lifeless pitches, which gave nothing to the bowlers. So I think it's a good time to be a batter. But having said that, these guys, you know, they'd be successful in any era.
But still, with those benign pitches, you'll thrashed England, and that's the best part, isn't it?
Well, I mean, that's, you know, we like to do that, of course, and England were a bit disappointing in Australia. And of course, with that Ben Stokes, yeah, that was a huge hole that was in their team.
You know, the England coach Trevor Bayliss has made a comment, and that's got me thinking. You know, he says that T20 cricket should not be played internationally, perhaps just ahead of a World T20 or other tournaments like this, and it should be basically leagues. What do you think of that comment?
I think that comment came after I actually met with Trevor a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about it, and so we sort of discussed that together, and that's what we came up with. I think I agree with that because, you know, Australia right now, our T20 squad have done well recently, but before that, we could never play a full side because half the team were preparing for a test match or some other cricket. So if you can't put your best side together, then I don't see the point in playing international T20 cricket. So if they can get more of a focus on that, maybe the Olympics is the right place to play T20 cricket. But there are so many leagues around the world and franchises that when, you know, last year, for instance, in Australia, the Big Bash got more crowds than Australia versus England T20 games. So that the crowds are saying something that we don't really connect with T20 at international level. So I tend to agree with Trevor that, you know, maybe every couple of years there's a major tournament. Outside of that, you know, it maybe is a franchise sport.
But do you think T20 then is becoming a monster which is threatening the conventional forms of cricket, test and ODIs?
You can see it getting bigger and bigger the whole time, and my concern is that more and more players are not playing red ball cricket anymore. They're just deciding to play white ball cricket in 2020 and making a really good living out of it. You know, why play test match cricket when you can get exposed in a 5-day game? You're not making as much money. It's a harder game to play. It takes you away from your family. It sometimes becomes a business decision. So there is, you know, a time coming where, you know, we're seriously going to look, how can we fix this? I think in Australia and England and India right now are okay because the leaders keep saying Test cricket's where it's at. Virat Kohli, Joe Root, Steve Smith. keep saying, I want to play Test cricket, and Test cricket is a pinnacle, but when you get a captain or leaders inside that don't say that, e.g. Chris Gayle in the West Indies, and that's when you're going to get in trouble.
Now you look at the other examples of professional leagues around the world, especially like football. The entire structure is around leagues, and then they have an international break, and then the big tournaments like the World Cup, the Euros, or whatever. Is that the way to go?
Oh, I hope not. I still want Test cricket to be up there on a pedestal, and you know, it's a unique game, and I believe that every cricketer, when they start out playing cricket, they want to know how good they can be, and the only format they can truly find that at is in Test match cricket. You know, it tests you, you know, technically, physically, mentally, socially, emotionally. No other sport does that, and I still believe that you want to know how good you are, so you've got to play Test cricket. But also, having said that, it gives more players an opportunity to make a living out of the game by being a T20 player or a one-day player. And now, when I played my cricket 30 years ago, there was probably 5 or 10 professional players. In Australia now, there'd be probably 300. So, you know, that's also a good thing, that it's a pathway for young people to have a career.
But when you talk about money, you know, like in like tennis, the players got together to form the ATP. They realized they weren't getting that much money. Today, the players could look back and say, look, Alexis Sanchez has joined Manchester United getting £600,000 a week. It's a staggering amount of money. Yeah. And the cricketers, like even the big ones like Virat Kohli, Steve Smith, aren't making anything close to that. The money basically which is coming from telecast rights, you look at the EPL and all, that's going to the players and the clubs to buy these big purchases. But in the case of cricket, it's mostly going to the boards as well. Are you seeing a situation perhaps where the players could say, listen, we need a bigger share of the pie. If you're not going to do it, perhaps we're going to break away?
Oh, look, I think we've gone through that a couple of times. Look, the boards need money to sustain the game at grassroots. It's a costly game to sustain. And you want money to be spread across that lower level. I think the players right now are doing pretty well. I mean, you know, the top Australian players are earning over $5 million, and you ask the average person, that seems like a pretty good wage to me. So I think that they're not, I don't think there's any issues right now with the players. They're pretty comfortable with what they're making. It's a great living compared to 5-10 years ago.
Or even when you were playing. I mean,
yeah, of course, yeah, that's right. So it's totally different. So I don't think there's an issue, and the key is for not everybody, you can't be greedy. The players can't be greedy, the boards can't be greedy, and you've got to look after the lower levels of cricket to make it prosper, because there's a lot of competition with other sports, particularly in Australia. You need to make sure the facilities there for young kids are coaching, and they're looking after the costs at that level.
Now, I'm just going to change track as I wind up this interview, because when I was growing up, I remember '87 World Cup, you were known then as the Iceman. You went on and became one of the greatest captains in cricket. Who are the other captains, you know, who you played alongside or you've now seen, who have, you know, made you go back and think, yeah, he's doing a good job? Yeah,
look, I like bits and pieces of all the cricketers. I like, you know, I like Kohli's passion. I think that's great in a captain, because you've got to be able to get the other guys to come in behind you and follow the way you play. That's a great thing. Steve Smith, his professionalism is a great way of leadership. Everyone leads in a different way. Dhoni had the Midas touch, whatever he did to turn to gold. You know, if he was out of form or the team wasn't playing well, they'd somehow win the big game. So he had a knack of making the players, you know, come together in the big moments. You know, Saurav, I think, hardened up the Indian side in his reign. He made them tougher and fight a bit differently. So yeah, I think each captain has got something different. I don't think I've seen the perfect captain yet. I don't think I was a perfect captain. I don't think anyone else was. You have your strengths and weaknesses, and the main thing is, as a captain, is you do it your way.
Yeah. Final question: has there been any cricketer you looked at and says, you know what, shucks, he's going to be a great captain, but he wasn't chosen for other reasons?
That's an interesting question. I've never had that before. I'm sure there's plenty of players that would have been great captains, and I think in each side there's probably 5 or 6 players who are capable of that. Sometimes they don't get that opportunity to do that. Look, I think George Bailey in Australia is a very good leader. He never got the chance to captain Australia, but I think if he was given a chance to captain the side, he would have done a very good job. Okay. Steve, lovely talking to you. You know, and as you said, since we're in captaincy, it's all about collective responsibility. A leader is only as good as his team, but some great points. But what's going to stay with me is that regret on not winning that Commonwealth Games gold. Thank you so much for speaking to WION, and hope to see you back in India soon, perhaps at WAUGH'S Charity. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.